This is Christopher Clark, Town Administrator for the Town of Harwich. I thought that what I would do today is to take a few moments and kind of walk through the budget message. I realize that when we do the budget message, which is really the administrative plan to lay out for the town to have a balanced budget for, in this case, fiscal year 2020, that it would maybe take a few moments just to kind of walk through the materials that are available to you. I do have, just by way of kind of the slideshow here, or not the slideshow, but the presentation, we have two documents that are online. The first document is actually the PowerPoint document itself, which is the FY20 2020 budget presentation. And I do a fair amount of this on my own, and certainly I do it in close coordination. A lot of the charts and graphs came from Carol Coppola, our finance director. But there's a lot of good information in there. I think the summary material, if you want to read the summary material, you can find it on our website under, I believe, the administrative column or the front page, and it's the presentation to get an overview. For more detail, it's over 40 pages. I apologize, it just keeps getting a little bit longer each year, but the complexity of government sometimes has a necessity to have it be a little bit longer. So we have the text version, and I do have intermixed in the text version some charts and graphs to kind of show people. One of the reasons why I try to do charts and graphs is that a fair amount of people obviously can read the material and absorb it, but a lot of people are visual learners, or probably the majority of people from some of the material I've looked at are visual learners. So I think having the charts to show does offer to people a little bit better of a visual relevant to trying to make the observations for folks. So just a couple things that I want to touch upon, and I do realize that it's a fair amount of material, but our budget now is up to $70 million. This is the proposed budget for this year coming up. So $70 million is a lot of money, and I believe that the residents of the community deserve a comprehensive overview per the charter of what we're trying to accomplish in this budget. So just by overview, I'm not going to read the 40 or something pages, that would be way too long, but just wanted to talk about a couple of concepts, if you would, that are included in the budget. One thing that we have going, really, that we're in the throes of, really in the time that I've been here, is there's a lot of capital projects that have been underway. We have the Monomoy Regional High School that just has been finished during the last 5 years, and we're now repaying that. Cape Tech, just to stay on the school front for a moment, is also well underway. That actually, though, they just borrowed the money for that fairly recently, so we get a better sense for the debt picture on that component. And then we have wastewater is probably all told so far. We've approved over $30 million worth of borrowing for wastewater. On that, very good news. Some of our projections, we had used a 2% for some of the borrowing. We're at 0%. So in a lot of cases, we try to present a worst case scenario. So when the news gets better, the information gets better. So that's the approach that we've taken. And then the harbor project at Sacotucket, the water side and land side. On the water side, we have been able to live up to having that be funded primarily from receipts from water. So where money comes from water in terms of receipts, we're having it pay for that project. The land side, we don't have as much revenue that we get from the land side, but we are looking at trying to match up some of that. And then last, but certainly not least, is Fire Station 2 is well underway. So a lot of projects that have a financial impact on the town. Certainly I would encourage folks to get a sense, particularly on the schools. The schools could be a show in and of itself in terms of educational funding. So I may allude to that a little bit, but I would encourage you to read the section on education. One of the things that this budget has in it is there's very few times that there's an opportunity for new revenue to come online. So we have, in terms of this budget, two things are being contemplated. One is we have a hotel motel tax which in 2010, a few Cape communities actually increased from 4% tax to 6% tax. So we are looking in this budget to do that same. We have some real challenges in this year's budget, so we're looking at doing a hotel motel tax from 4 to 6%. That also benefits us for when the second shoe drops. The state legislature has made a change to short-term rentals, that now those will be taxed. This just gives us a little bit of greater flexibility, matches up to some of the other communities that moved theirs up from 4% to 6%. So this budget contemplates for FY 2020 doing 4%, 6% on existing hotel motel, and then the revenue that would come in if we go from 4 to 6% would be then increased as well, automatically 4% for the short-term rentals, the home rentals, if you would, vacation people by owner is one of the concepts. Part of the reason for doing the increase is that we have had a significant issue in the town in which we had, prior to my arrival, there was 4 or 5 years of 0%. What that's done from a labor union standpoint, it has moved our employees behind, a little bit behind. The last 4 or 5 years, or 5 years, the time that I've been here, we have been able to have 2%, so we are having an inflationary factor that we're having employees be able to keep up with inflation, but the employees still overall are behind. So this year, you'll see in some of the collective bargaining agreements that there are concepts to move from the lower third to the middle third in terms of comparison communities. What we don't want to have happen is to have too much of a brain drain, if you would, people leaving the community because they don't feel like they're being fairly compensated. So that's one of the areas, the reason for. And so instead of 2% cost, we're getting into the 4% cost range while we do this period of adjustment of moving some of those salaries. I did allude to on the education system, and I think I will touch upon that, on the education system, that because of enrollments on the Cape generally shrinking, lesser school kids, the formula that the state uses, anytime you make additional money, the rates of money that goes to education has to be increased. But at the same time, you have declining enrollment, which plays a little bit of havoc as some towns decline quicker than others, and that's what's happening here in Harwich. So just in the budget message in particular, on the Monomoy Regional School District, we actually have an assessment increase of $1.1 million, and Chatham, primarily due to these enrollment numbers, is actually having a modest decrease of about $40,000. So enrollments make a significant difference in terms of how these formulas apply to different towns. So the good news is Harwich has more kids. The bad news is because Chatham has decreased the number of kids that they have, it's having a profound impact in terms of the budget impact. Just a last couple things, and I realize this is a little longer than I wanted it to be, is on health insurance. Cape Cod Municipal Health Group, we are one of the participating entities in Cape Cod Municipal Health Group. We've had a very good year. The last 18 months has been very good in terms of loss ratio. Loss ratio is the amount of claims that come in versus the amount of money that we send. Having that be favorable, we actually have contemplated in this budget a 0. So no increase at all for health insurance. That has helped also to kind of stabilize the budget in terms of health insurance related costs. And really in the last 2 items I just want to talk about is in terms of new positions, there's only one new position being contemplated, and that is in our IT. We have a 1-person IT department, IT information technology. We're trying to expand to 2. Last year, the selectmen did authorize up to $40,000 in consulting services. We're using that $40,000 plus to be able to hire someone for IT, so that is our goal, to try to hire. And then due to a lot of elderly on the Cape, we are increasing some of the resources, just a number of hours dedicated for the Council on Aging. One thing that I just, if you do go on or want to go on, a lot of folks have kind of said, well, what is the tax impact to me So what we've done is a median home, and what the median home is, you take all the homes in the town of Harwich, you take off the extreme highs, you take out the extreme lows, and the median is about $375,000 is the number that we have. And what we have is a chart that's here. It's on page 31 of the materials, and it is in the budget message itself, that actually shows what impact does this have to the homeowner. And in 2020, what's being contemplated based upon a lot of the authorized and unissued debt, it's basically items that are in the pipeline versus already existing debt, that $375,000 home, homeowner, about $600 of that debt, of that tax bill that they have, so is related to the debt. So $600, so if you have a $2,600 tax bill, $600 of that is related to debt exclusions for these various projects. And on the material, you can see that it does gravitate up. What we're trying to do is, as the debt service climbs for sewer, hopefully the education starts to drop, and it actually goes from about just over $600 to just over $700. So you can see it's about over $100 swing. We are trying to feather that as much as we can. I think that's actually not bad to have a $100 swing when we're talking about a program that is substantially pretty large. So I know I'm at probably my 10-minute mark, so I've gone longer than I wanted to. Would certainly encourage you to take a look at the materials. It does take a long time to put this together, but instead of trying to understand all the budget, all $70 million worth, having it broken down into 41 pages or some slides, probably about 40 slides too, is a way to try to show people the information in a concise way. So hopefully this has been informational. As always, the intent behind this. Christopher Clark, Town Administrator, thank you for your time and attention.